Have you ever paused in the midst of a passionate moment and wondered if you truly know how to make your partner experience the deepest levels of pleasure? It's a question that lingers in the minds of many, even those in the most loving and committed relationships. There's often this quiet uncertainty that creeps in, like a shadow in the corner of the room, making you second-guess yourself. You see, statistics reveal that a significant number of women, some studies suggest up to 80%, admit to faking an orgasm at some point in their lives, often not out of malice, but to protect their partner's feelings or to end an encounter that isn't quite hitting the mark. It's a protective mechanism born from kindness or frustration, but it leaves both partners in a fog of doubt. So, how can you bridge that gap? How can you move from this nagging uncertainty to a place of unshakable confidence, knowing that you understand her body on a profound level and can guide her to genuine, earth-shattering climaxes? The answer, surprisingly, isn't buried in some elusive, complex secret technique passed down through whispers or hidden in ancient texts. No, it's far more accessible, a simple, powerful trick rooted in a fundamental understanding of female anatomy. It's about mastering not just what to stimulate, but when to do it and in what precise order. This sequence is like a well-choreographed dance where each step builds upon the last, leading to a crescendo of intimacy and ecstasy. By the time you've absorbed this knowledge, you'll grasp the sequence, a key that can unlock doors to a more profound level of connection and pleasure for both of you. This isn't about putting on a performance or ticking boxes. It's about fostering a deep, authentic bond where satisfaction is mutual and shared. So, let's dive into this exploration together, peeling back the layers of misunderstanding to reveal the truth that can transform your intimate life. First, we must center our attention on the absolute epicenter of female pleasure, the clitoris. For far too long, this remarkable organ has been shrouded in mystery, misunderstood, or outright overlooked in discussions of sexuality. Yet, it stands as the undisputed champion of orgasmic potential, the most critical component in the symphony of female arousal. What many don't realize is that the small, pearl-like nub visible externally is merely the tip of a much larger, intricate structure. Internally, the clitoris extends like the roots of a tree, branching out into a complex network of erectile tissue that wraps around the vaginal canal and connects to other sensitive areas. This hidden architecture is what amplifies its power, making it a powerhouse of sensation. To truly appreciate its sensitivity, consider this staggering fact: the glands of the clitoris, that external part, contains over 8,000 nerve endings, densely packed into a tiny area. That's more than double the number found in the glands of the entire penis, which has around 4,000. This incredible density positions the clitoris as a most sensitive erogenous zone in the human body, capable of producing waves of pleasure that radiate outward like ripples in a pond. This isn't mere opinion or anecdotal hearsay. It's a biological reality backed by anatomical studies and neuroscientific research. For the vast majority of women, estimates suggest about 70 to 80% direct and dedicated stimulation of the clitoris isn't just a nice addition to intimacy. It's absolutely essential for reaching orgasm. It's the spark that ignites the fire. One of the most common pitfalls in sexual encounters is relying solely on penetration to achieve this goal, a mistake we'll dissect further shortly. But understanding the clitoris's primacy is a foundational step. It's the primary source of orgasmic pleasure for most women, and acknowledging this means making its stimulation a non-negotiable priority if your aim is her genuine satisfaction. This requires patience, attentiveness, and a nuanced touch. Begin with gentle, exploratory caresses, perhaps using the soft pat of a finger or the warmth of your tongue to awaken those nerve endings without overwhelming them. As arousal builds, her body will signal readiness for more intensity, increased pressure, faster rhythms, or varied patterns like circles or side-to-side motions. Starting with focused, deliberate clitoral stimulation lays the groundwork upon which all other pleasures can be built, turning a routine encounter into a journey of escalating delight. Now, let's shift our focus to the second, often more enigmatic pleasure spot, the G-spot. For decades, its very existence has been the subject of heated debates among scientists, sexologists, and everyday people alike. Some dismissed it as a myth, a figment of overactive imaginations, while others swore by its transformative power. Today, thanks to advances in medical imaging and physiological studies, we know it to be a real and distinct erogenous zone. Not a singular button to press, but an area rich in potential. Located on the anterior upper front wall of the vaginal canal, it's typically found about 2 to 3 inches inside from the entrance, roughly the length of a finger's first to knuckles. To visualize it, imagine the vaginal canal as a clock face with the clitoris positioned externally at the 12 o'clock mark. The G-spot aligns internally at that same 12 o'clock position. Nestled against the urethral sponge, a spongy tissue that surrounds the urethra when aroused. This area swells, becoming more prominent, and its texture shifts to something slightly ridged or bumpy, distinguishable from the smoother surrounding vaginal walls. The stimulation it craves is markedly different from the clitoris's preferences. It's not about light, fluttering touches but firm, consistent pressure. The classic come hither motion, curling your fingers upward toward the belly button in a beckoning gesture, is the most effective way to engage it. Applying steady rhythmic presses that build intensity over time. The pleasure from G-spot stimulation is often described as deeper, more visceral, a full-bodied sensation that originates internally and spreads like a warm wave through the pelvis and beyond. It's distinct from the sharp, pinpoint ecstasy of clitoral orgasms. Instead, it feels more like a building pressure that culminates in profound release. For some women, this can lead to incredibly powerful orgasms, sometimes accompanied by squirting or female ejaculation, a natural expulsion of fluid from the Skene's glands, often called the female prostate. Yet, here's a crucial caveat: attempting to stimulate the G-spot in isolation, without prior arousal, can backfire spectacularly. For many, it might feel neutral at best or uncomfortable at worst, mimicking the urgency of needing to urinate due to its proximity to the bladder and urethra. This is where the real trick, the urologist's insight, comes into play, weaving these two pleasure centers into a harmonious whole. So, here's a secret that ties it all together: the urologist's trick that elevates intimacy from good to extraordinary. It's not about pitting the clitoris against the G-spot in a battle for supremacy. It's about recognizing their synergistic relationship, how they complement and amplify each other when approached in the right order. Think of it as a metaphor. The clitoris is a key masterfully crafted to fit a specific lock, and the G-spot is a locked room brimming with treasures of pleasure waiting to be discovered. You can't barge into that room without first turning the key. Forcing it would only lead to frustration and resistance. The sequence is paramount. Begin with the clitoris as your starting point, dedicating time to its stimulation through oral sex, manual touch, or even a vibrator designed for precision. Your initial goal is to cultivate her arousal gradually, allowing blood to rush to the genital region, engorging the clitoral network and priming the entire system. This physiological response is like waking a sleeping giant. Tissue swell, sensitivity heightens, and natural lubrication increases, creating an environment ripe for deeper exploration. Pay close attention to her cues: her breathing quickening, her hips arching, soft moans escaping as these signal that arousal is peaking. She might even reach a clitoral orgasm at this stage, a burst of pleasure that relaxes her body and opens pathways to more. Only then, when she's highly aroused and the door is unlocked, should you introduce G-spot stimulation. Now, what was once potentially uncomfortable transforms into a source of intense delight. The firm pressure that felt odd before now sends shock waves of ecstasy, blending with the lingering clitoral sensations to create a blended orgasm, a multifaceted explosion that encompasses both surface and depth, external and internal. This one-two punch is what makes the experience explosive, turning a singular peak into a multi-layered symphony. Sustained clitoral pleasure provides the ongoing spark, while G-spot pressure adds a profound, rumbling bass note. Women who experience this often describe it as all-encompassing, a full-body tremor that leaves them breathless and satiated. Rushing straight to the G-spot without this preparatory phase is akin to trying to force a jammed lock. It's ineffective, potentially painful, and misses the point entirely. By honoring the sequence, clitoris first to ignite and build, then G-spot to deepen and intensify, you unlock her full potential, fostering orgasms that are not just physical but emotionally resonant, strengthening the bond between you. With this sequence firmly in mind, we can now confidently dismantle some of the most persistent and damaging myths that cloud the landscape of female pleasure. The foremost among them is the entrenched belief that penetrative sex alone should suffice to bring a woman to orgasm. This notion, perpetuated by media, pornography, and cultural narratives, sets unrealistic expectations and leads to widespread disappointment. But let's look at the evidence. Numerous studies, including those from the Kinsey Institute and surveys in journals like Archives of Sexual Behavior, consistently show that this simply isn't the case for most women. In fact, it's estimated that around 75 to 80% of women do not achieve orgasm through vaginal penetration alone. No matter how enthusiastic or prolonged the effort, the reason boils down to pure anatomy. The clitoris, as we've established, is externally located, and while certain positions like woman on top or those allowing for grinding can provide indirect stimulation through contact with the pubic bone or base of the penis, it's often insufficient for climax. Moreover, the inner two-thirds of the vaginal canal are relatively sparse in nerve endings. This design facilitates childbirth, allowing for stretching without excruciating pain. But it means that deep thrusting targets areas with minimal sensory input. If your partner hasn't been orgasming from penetration, it's not a failing on her part or yours. It's not about inadequacy or lack of chemistry. It's anatomy at work, plain and simple. Shifting the focus to incorporate clitoral stimulation during penetration, perhaps with a hand, toy, or position adjustment, can bridge this gap, making intercourse a collaborative path to pleasure rather than a solo endeavor. We've delved into how a deep comprehension of her anatomy trumps mindless penetration, emphasizing technique, timing, and tenderness over brute force. But what if, armed with this knowledge, you still grapple with concerns about stamina or maintaining erection hardness long enough to apply it all? For men who yearn to match their newfound expertise with unwavering performance, ensuring they can last as long as she needs without fading, there's something truly remarkable worth exploring. It's a completely natural 7-second home remedy that's aiding thousands of men in reversing the underlying scientific causes of performance issues. This approach helps them achieve firmer erections, extend their endurance, and reignite their drive, all without resorting to risky pills, invasive procedures, or drastic lifestyle overhauls. It's an eye-opening revelation, grounded in simple, accessible methods that target root causes like blood flow and hormonal balance. If you're intrigued, imagine a QR code appearing on your screen right now. Simply open your phone's camera, point it at the code, and you'll be directed to a short, free video that breaks down exactly how it works, step by step, for those viewing on a device without QR capabilities, or if the code isn't visible. Rest assured, a direct link is conveniently pinned at the top of the comments section below this content. It's worth checking out, as it complements the anatomical insights we're discussing, empowering you to bring both knowledge and vitality to your encounters. Resuming our myth-busting journey, another major misconception that hinders mutual pleasure is a societal obsession with penis size, particularly length. From locker room banter to adult entertainment, the narrative has long been that bigger, specifically longer, is inherently better, equating size with prowess and satisfaction. However, armed with our understanding of female anatomy, this idea crumbles under scrutiny. The truth is, the most sensitive zones for vaginal pleasure, the G-spot and the outer third of the vaginal canal, where nerve endings are concentrated, are all within the first 3 to 4 inches from the entrance. Anything beyond that ventures into territory with diminishing returns, where sensitivity drops off sharply. In fact, an excessively long penis can pose problems, repeatedly impacting the cervix at the vaginal canal's end, which might cause cramping, discomfort, or even pain rather than pleasure. It's like overreaching in a delicate task. What seems advantageous becomes a hindrance. Anatomy points instead to girth, thickness, or circumference as the more impactful dimension. A thicker penis creates greater friction and pressure against the vaginal walls, stretching and stimulating more nerve endings at once, particularly around the G-spot. This fuller sensation enhances the internal experience, making penetration more gratifying when combined with external clitoral attention. The cultural fixation on length is thus misguided, a relic of misinformation. What truly matters is the intelligent, attentive use of what you have, paired with the sequence we've outlined, to deliver targeted, meaningful stimulation. Bringing it all together, the secret to unlocking a woman's deepest pleasure isn't shrouded in enigma or requiring exotic tools. It's a straightforward trick of comprehension and sequence, demystifying the path to ecstasy. Remember the analogy: the clitoris serves as a gateway, the essential key that demands initial focus. Dedicate time to it, explore with curiosity, respond to her reactions, and build her arousal to a fever pitch. Once that gateway swings wide, inviting deeper exploration, introduce the G-spot's profound sensations, layering them atop the clitoral foundation for a blended, transcendent experience. Yet, this technical guide is merely the skeleton. The flesh and soul come from the intangibles. Anatomy provides the map, but genuine pleasure thrives on a bedrock of trust, open communication, and heartfelt affection. The brain, after all, is the ultimate sexual organ, interpreting sensations through the lens of emotion and connection. Engage in conversations, ask what she enjoys, what fantasies linger in her mind, how her body responds on different days. Listen actively to her verbal cues and observe the subtle language of her physique, the flush of her skin, the rhythm of her breath, the way she moves toward or away from your touch. Every woman is a unique tapestry influenced by her experiences, hormones, and moods. What works wonders one night might need tweaking the next. This knowledge isn't a scorecard or a conquest. It's a tool for generosity, for offering informed, attentive pleasure that deepens your bond. When she feels truly seen, understood, and satisfied, not just physically but emotionally, the intimacy you share ascends to realms you might never have imagined possible. It's a cycle of reciprocity. Her fulfillment fuels your confidence and vice versa, creating a virtuous loop of closeness. In reflecting on this, consider how societal taboos and silences have stifled such discussions for generations, leaving many to navigate intimacy blindly. By embracing this education, you're not only enhancing your own relationships, but contributing to a broader shift toward healthier, more informed sexuality. Share these insights with friends, spark dialogues, and normalize the pursuit of mutual pleasure. Thank you for journeying through this exploration with me. If these revelations have illuminated something new for you, consider showing support by liking, subscribing, or engaging further. And I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts. What has your experience been like? Have you encountered these myths firsthand, or discovered sequences that resonate? Let's foster a community of openness in the comments, continuing the conversation toward better understanding and deeper connections for all.